Happening now, the nation can breathe a sigh of relief this morning after Congress ends a 16-day standoff.
With only hours to spare, Congress finally passed a plan to avoid a default. But as CBS's Susan McGinnis reports, there is still a lot more work to do.
Federal employees are heading back to work, and barricades around Washington memorials are coming down. Just after midnight, President Obama signed into law the bill that ends the 16-day government shutdown and raises the nation's debt limit to avoid a default.
There's a lot of work ahead of us, including our need to earn back the trust of the American people that's been lost over the last few weeks.
The plan from Senate leaders Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell passed easily in the Senate.
Shutting down the government was not a smart strategy and not the right direction, and I hope we never do this again.
But in the House, 144 Republicans voted against the bill because it didn't do enough to limit the president's health care law.
We fought the good fight. We just didn't win.
The agreement funds the government for 3 months, raises the debt ceiling for 4 months, and calls for immediate long-term budget talks.
Nobody thinks it's going to be easy to get to a deal. But I will tell you, I would not have fought so hard for so long to get in a room with Chairman Ryan if I didn't think we could find common ground and work something out.
The heads of the budget committees in the House and Senate have 57 days to find a compromise. They begin negotiations this morning on Capitol Hill over breakfast. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Washington.
The new budget deal includes at least one change to the Affordable Care Act. That's Obamacare. The government will now have to verify your income if you decide to apply for federal aid when you get health insurance. Elizabeth?
The deal has thousands of people in New Mexico breathing easy, too. Now about 20,000 Sandia and Los Alamos National Lab employees will not be furloughed, and hundreds of thousands of New Mexicans won't lose their food stamps. It also means national parks like Carlsbad Caverns and national monuments like White Sands will reopen, bringing back tourists and furloughed workers. All but one of New Mexico's congressional delegation voted for the plan to get the government up and running again. While Congressman Steve Pierce is relieved Congress has reached a deal, he says he is disappointed because he says we will soon be back in the same place again.
We are basically going to be back in this same discussion now 3 months from now, which is very unproductive in my opinion.
Congressman Pierce voted against it, saying it allows the president to get what he wanted. Well, there is a debate that continues right here in New Mexico. Will the state be home to a horse slaughterhouse or not?
Both sides of this issue are getting ready for a big decision from the courts expected by the end of this month. Samantha McDonald has more and what's going on today from the News Place. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, guys. The idea of a horse slaughterhouse could soon become a reality in Roswell, New Mexico, and that possibility is eliciting strong emotions from both sides of the issue. The controversy has gone on for over a year, ever since Valley Meats in Roswell got its permit to open a horse slaughterhouse. The Agricultural Department has approved it, but the opening has been delayed because several animal rights groups have sued to stop it. With a final decision expected soon, concerned residents are staging a protest at 8 this morning in front of Chavez County Courthouse. The organizer says she has gathered 2,500 signatures against the slaughterhouse. Her main message, the practice is not humane and could contaminate drinking water.
If this does get approved and happens, we're hoping that the court will still keep the injunction going. Me personally, I'm moving out of Roswell.
In response, the attorney for Valley Meat Company, A. Blair Dunn, says he understands the emotion, but he says, quote, however, Valley respectfully requests that the public consider that horse processing supplies a high-demand global commodity that represents 40 to 100 jobs for the Roswell community and a more humane solution than starvation and neglect for the hundreds of thousands of unwanted horses, end quote. The proposed slaughterhouse cannot open until the court makes its final decision. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you for the update, Sam. The Navajo Nation, remember, at first it supported the horse slaughterhouse, so now it has withdrawn that support, opting to look for alternative ways of dealing with thousands of feral horses on their land. We will keep you updated on this hot-button issue. Elizabeth?
A former Albuquerque City employee accused of killing the son of a state lawmaker could soon be released from jail. 32-year-old Jesse Chavez is charged with murdering 45-year-old Ralph Chavez on October 18th of last year. Ralph was the son of State Representative Ernest Chavez. The court has been waiting on a request made in June for DNA testing on evidence found at the scene. But we're now learning the evidence has been sitting unprocessed on the desk of a woman who no longer works at the APD's Metro Crime Lab. The job was not reassigned to anyone else. Now, Jesse Chavez's attorney is fighting for his release. Yesterday, a judge called the state negligent.
I understand that personnel, changes, but at the same time, I have to consider that Mr. Chavez has been in custody, accused of this, with absolutely no evidence holding him in custody.
APD says it's working on getting the DNA testing done as soon as possible. The prosecution is also looking at taking the evidence to a state lab.